Welcome to Aquaplaticodon, where more useless knowledge gets unlocked. Today, we're talking about one of the most famous financial scams in history, the Ponzi scheme. It wasn't the biggest scam ever, but it was so pure, so perfectly designed to fail, that every similar fraud since then has been named after it. Unlike other financial bubbles which at least had some kind of real business or asset behind them, Ponzi schemes are built on absolutely nothing. No real investment, no actual profit, just money moving in circles, keeping up the illusion until it all falls apart. The name comes from Charles Ponzi, who ran this kind of scheme back in 1919. He convinced people he could give them 50% profit in just 45 days by exploiting postage stamp arbitrage. Sounds sophisticated, right? In reality, there was no actual business. He was just using new investors' money to pay the old ones, making it seem like his system was generating huge returns. For a while, it worked. At its peak, Ponzi was bringing in millions of dollars a day, an insane amount for that time. But like all Ponzi schemes, it eventually collapsed when new investors stopped coming in, and the whole thing fell apart. Now, Ponzi wasn't the first person to run a financial scam. Before him, there were the South Sea Bubble and the Mississippi Bubble in the early 1700s. Those were massive speculative frenzies, but at least they had some kind of business behind them, even if they were wildly overhyped. Ponzi's scam, on the other hand, had absolutely nothing. That's why his name stuck. He wasn't selling bad investments, he was just recycling money. The formula for a Ponzi scheme hasn't changed since then. It starts with the promise of high returns, something too good to resist. Then, instead of making actual profits, the scammer just uses new investments to pay the earlier investors, making it seem like the system is working. As long as new people keep putting in money, the illusion holds. But the moment that stops, the whole thing crumbles, leaving most investors with nothing. This is exactly how Bernie Madoff pulled off his $65 billion scam. It ran for decades before collapsing in 2008, fooling banks, hedge funds, and even charities. And yet, even though we know how this works, the same tricks keep showing up, sometimes not as outright scams, but as business models that rely on constant new funding just to stay afloat. That's where it gets tricky, because Ponzi schemes don't always look like scams. Sometimes they disguise themselves as promising startups, innovative new industries, or even big-name entrepreneurs who keep launching new projects. The question is, how do you spot them before they collapse? The simplest way is to always ask, where is the money really coming from? If a company isn't actually making money from its product but keeps expanding like crazy, something isn't right. If they're using new investor money to sustain growth instead of actual revenue, they're just shifting money around. Some people call that fundraising. Others might call it a slow-motion Ponzi scheme. Then there are the serial entrepreneurs who never build a profitable business, but they're always on to the next big thing. They use fresh investments from one project to patch up losses from another, creating the illusion that they're always winning. As long as new money keeps flowing, they look successful. But if that funding dries up, everything unravels. Another red flag is when an investment opportunity guarantees returns with little to no risk. Real businesses don't work like that. If something looks too good to be true, it almost always is. And finally, think about what happens if the money stops coming in. A real business might struggle, but can still survive on its own revenue. A Ponzi-style operation, on the other hand, collapses the moment the cash flow slows down. Ponzi schemes aren't just a relic of history. They keep coming back, just with new names, new industries, and better marketing. Every time you hear about a company, an investment, or a business leader promising exponential growth, ask yourself, are they making real money or just moving it around? If the answer isn't clear, it's probably best to walk away. That's all for today. Thanks for watching Aquaplaticodon. See you in the next one.